Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And it has arrived. The Strangers, Chapter 1. We finally have gotten a trailer, ladies and gentlemen. And I've been looking forward to this. I know Luke has been pretty interested in this as well, considering this is a kind of when it was announced, it was unexpected, I would say. I don't think any of us really saw this coming. And just kind of getting some thoughts out right off the bat. Uh, I think that this is a little bit closer to the first film than I was anticipating. And I'm just going to kind of say that as like my overall like kind of opening statement on this because like that's interesting. Now, Luke, how familiar are you with the original The Strangers?
Oh, I absolutely love the original Strangers. Now I have
Same here.
seen. I saw the sequel. I only saw it once. I remember not being as thrilled with that one. It just felt for me had a little bit of a different tone than that first one. The first one's really methodic, I think, with that element of voyeurism and attention that they built. And I think that second one, from what I remember, didn't have that same flair that I was looking for. So I was, intrigued when they had mentioned that we were going to be, kind of getting this reboot, remake, reimagining. I don't know what we're calling it these days, but, going into this and actually seeing a tangible visual for me, I didn't know really what to expect. I do see a lot of people saying this is very similar to the original, and I guess I don't know what I was expecting. I'm not mad about it, but it's just something where it's similar, but also feels slightly different. And I think it's. Oh, I'm gonna get into it. So,
Mhm.
where it's I don't know. I feel like the tone's gonna be different because I'll let you speak for a second, then I'll get into my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And those like little thoughts, I wasn't like saying you're wrong or anything in my head. I was just saying like I agree with you because like I'm a little mixed on this trailer. I was really excited about this. Like I know we did our anticipated 2024. I made this one of my selections cuz again, this is a trilogy. They shot them back to back. We don't know necessarily when the other parts are coming out, but the rumor is that we're getting one here in a couple months with this in May, and then maybe one in the fall, and then maybe one before the end of the year or early spring. That's all exciting to me. I love that that's kind of like a model that we're kind of going with because I think the idea of having almost a trilogy of movies all come out in one year is it's exciting. It's different. It's nice to not have to wait 2+ years for another installment, especially if you're doing it kind of like what it sounds like they're doing with this, where you're kind of like running one story concurrently through this. So I imagine, this one's going to end on a cliffhanger. The next one will end on a cliffhanger, and then we'll have the wrap up. That being said, I'm right there with you, man. I didn't know really what to expect, but kind of getting into this, it's like it does have a very different tone, but I don't know if I'm really vibing with the tone because it just on the whole just looks very similar to the first movie, which I guess we should have expected. I guess I should have expected. I think I even said as much when it first got announced and this was the plan. But like I don't know, I just feel like I don't want this movie to be me biding my time for the sequel. I don't want this movie to just be like, okay, I'm going to watch this to get through it. And then the second and third one are where we're really going to see a big difference and we're really going to kick into it. I don't want this to be too much of a retread.
Yeah, and I've seen that word used, retread. A lot of people saying it's way too close to the original. I'm going to pass on this one. And you know, as we sit here as reviewers and we watch so many different trailers, what's always our go-to as to what we hope they don't do with that trailer is show the whole movie.
Agree.
And I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm not saying that this is going to be quality wise the exact same, but look at the Barbarian trailer. That presented something completely different and in that trailer, and then we got something new and fresh. Now, looking at The Strangers, looking at Rennie Harlan, what if this is a bait and switch? What if this all happens really quickly? We're not going to show you any of the new stuff. And when you look at the original trailer or the original Strangers, that film is, conceptually, there's just some connective tissue. It's really built on that tension and what they do present with the voyeurism and kind of us seeing the things that those characters don't with them presenting
Yeah.
themselves, So when we're talking about story, there's not that much there. There's a lot of room to play. So, yeah, of course, I feel like Rennie Harlan in the studio is going to show us what we already know about the strangers. And then once we get into that, we're going to get into that different chapter and figure out other things that maybe we don't, maybe um, a different story to tell. So, for me, I think that's a point that, people have to start thinking about is that the trailer is probably going to show us the exact same thing that we've seen from the original instead of any new ideas that they're going to present. They want to take you on that ride. And I think, when this does come out, I only did a brief, surface level, research on it. So I don't think there's a lot of horror coming out around the release time of this. So if a lot of people are going to want to go see a horror film and they see the strangers on the marquee, it doesn't matter if it's going to be a retread for them, and we have to think about people that probably hadn't seen the original Strangers and, are just going to go in and want to see what this one's going to do. Now, for me, in terms of looking at the trailer, I'm not necessarily 100% sold on it. I think it just has a different vibe for me. And one of the things I wanted to pick out here is that, in the original, we have that element of that voyeurism that's a little more methodic for me, where we have, I don't know if they all have names, but the one that wears the sack head.
Hmm.
When he presents himself, it's very in the back. It's very small. It's not really in your face. Now,
Oh yeah.
in the Rennie Harlan version here, we have it in your face. It's right there, and I feel like that's the vibe we're getting. And I don't know necessarily if I want that with my Strangers film. I want that kind of slow, methodic, kind of voyeuristic feel to it. And I don't necessarily that I got it here.
Yeah, and like we haven't talked about this like very much at all because we try to save these conversations for these videos. Because like, yeah, I agree with you, and I think like I really hope you're spot on. I really do with the bait and switch. I would hope that even if like, say the movie's an hour and a half and like let's say the first 45 minutes or so are pretty much that first film. And then the last half of it is just, something fresh, something new. That would be perfect. I would be fine with that. And yeah, I think that, I'm really, really hoping that you're right in the sense that they are just showing us a retread because the retreaded moments in the trailer. Because the other thing that I think we have to play on here, and this did circulate through my head, and I think this is a good time to bring it up, is that they are really trying to play up the nostalgia, I think, too, with this trailer. You have the big moments, it's because you were home. They have the moments where it's like, yeah, she's taking the shower, which I know that wasn't in the original, but like, him, the sackhead guy, being around, stepping around. And I agree with you. I think that was way more intriguing in that first film, with him just being in the background out of focus and shots and stuff. I really think that's kind of where I'm hoping that you're correct, because if this is like the whole movie that they showed in this trailer, and it is going to be pretty much just the first film, but instead of a couple that's kind of like on the rocks, they're bubbly, happy, young, and having fun. Like, I just don't know if this is again just going to be kind of like a one-stop shop of like, all right, we'll hit this pit stop, and then when the next one and the third one come out, those are what I'm waiting for. Because like when you say you're going to do this and you're going to do a remake, and I say this with any remake, you have to be willing to bring new ideas to it. We do not like movies that are just essentially retreads of the first. What's everybody's like? You have two camps when it comes to the Rob Zombie Halloween, right? Where it's like you have a camp that's like, oh, I like the backstory, I like that it was different, I like that it's a different movie, but then they hate when you go to, basically just a remake of the first film.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the camps that are the other way around. So I think for me, this does make me worried. I'm definitely not writing off the film by any means. Like, I just was, I think, hoping for a little bit more of a punch, or at least the trailer to, even if it played out like this, but they gave us something maybe at the end, just a little tease at the end that there is going to be a little bit more to this. And granted, it's one trailer, and we really don't have that long to wait. We have 2 months. I don't know. I'm a little mixed on it, I got to say, overall.
Yeah, and for me, I think what this trailer did for me is I'm not expecting the tension that was brought in that original film. I think this one's going to be maybe a
Yeah.
little bit more in your face as we have blood dripping, with the the animal hanging from
Hmm.
the light fixture, where it's like I think it's going to be a little bit more in your face rather than that methodic tone that we did have with the original. But we also have to look at that original trailer because that presented that couple as a loving couple, and then we didn't know until we got into that film that it
Fair,
was a
yeah.
couple on the rocks. So you
I
know
haven't seen the trailer in a long time though, so that's a good point if that's actually how it is presented. So,
And I did actually go ahead and watch it, prior as soon as that one came out just to kinda compare. So that is the element that they do give. So I'm curious to see if they're gonna hold anything back or what we're getting from this one because, yeah, there are minor differences of this one does look like a loving couple from the trailer, so who knows what exactly is going to be happening. I do think maybe we're gonna be missing that element of intimacy as well, whereas in that original, it was a home invasion where this one's
mhm,
kind of like that Airbnb. They could have been there and set up
yeah.
these traps. So, for me, I'm somewhere in the middle here. I'm a little more cautious, I think. I love that. I adore the first one so much and I love the tone of it. And I know, at least from this trailer, I'm not getting that feeling here. So I'm not going to go into this one expecting that unless we get another trailer that maybe changes my mind. But right now, I think this one's going to be a little bit more in your face, a little more gory than what we had seen in that original.
Mhm.
And I think maybe they are going to rely on a little bit more jump scares than what we had seen previously. So I'm gonna be in the middle for this one. I think the trailer is so. It was again, it was a lot of things that we had seen in the past, but I don't think it was as stylish for my taste than what I had seen.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Rennie Harlan is an interesting choice for this. I've said that since it was announced. He's definitely got a horror background. He's done some horror stuff, and I mean he does have some good flicks under his name. I mean, if we're just going right off the bat, the dude really started with A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. That's where his career kind of took off. That's definitely, I've got moments in there that I really love. Die Hard 2 is fun. I mean, I know you're a huge cliffhanger fan. I love Long Kiss Goodnight. And, of course, I'm going to mention it Deep Blue Sea. Like I grew up with that flick. I think he's got a pretty, I would say, mixed career. So, it's like there's some wins in there and then there's some questionable ones. I was just kind of really hoping that we'd walk into this saying like this looks like a clear win, but yeah, it looks like it's right on par with about what I expect from Rennie Harlan so far. But I really hope that your thoughts and feelings come true on this because I really want them to give us some kind of a bait and switch here and really make us excited. And again, if I don't have to wait a year for chapter 2, if I only have to wait a couple months, I can totally forgive this one being more of a retread. I can definitely be fine with that because again, we're kind of reestablishing things, we're setting tones, we're really just getting ourselves acclimated back into the world of the strangers in the sense that this is, like you said, I don't know if this is like, is this an official reboot? Like, is the original film even taking place anymore in this? Who the hell knows? But I am still going to err on the side of positivity. But yeah, I'm not blown away. I wasn't blown away by this trailer.
Yeah, neither was I. I would hate for this to be, it was a passing moment in my head to think, maybe the whole town's in on it. We did see Richard Brake, which
That's nice.
always a plus, which I would hope they don't go that route with it. But, as you
That
mentioned,
would
the
I'd hate that.
filmography of Rennie Harlan, yes, he started in horror, but he kind of moved away. A lot of his pieces are really grandiose in terms of, action, set pieces, things like that. So, I hope this is a bait and switch. That's just something, I'm going to cross my fingers for. Do I necessarily think we're going to get into that and see something that's going to be mind blowing in terms of story? I would doubt it. I think this is going to be probably that kind of wild thrill ride with is probably going to be pretty gory. I think more so what we're going to probably be presented here is that every character's death is on the table and we're never feeling safe. I think maybe that's what they might lean into a little more than that kind of voyeuristic feel to it, especially looking at the trailer and kind of how fast paced it was. So overall, I'm in the middle for this one. I'm going to be hesitant, but like you said, it'll be maybe a little bit easier pill to swallow, especially with those two follow-ups if they maybe get deeper into a story or present us some interesting ideas.
100%. And this thing's coming out May 17th. Definitely let us know down below, guys, if you're still planning on checking out The Strangers. Again, for people who are kind of writing this off, I get the disappointment, but I still think that I'm gonna go in positive. I'm gonna go in excited. May 17th is going to hit, and I'll be thinking, yep, I'm here to go see The Strangers. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think the jury is out on me for this one, but I don't want to see another trailer. I can tell you that. I think we're close enough. I think this is a fine trailer. You're right. It does just enough. It sells it. My only worry is that because the trailer didn't have that kind of pop, I think that they were hoping for. Because like, if you look on Twitter and Instagram yesterday when they said that this was coming, everybody was looking forward to this. All this morning, people were like, "Ooh, when's the trailer gonna drop? When's the trailer gonna drop?" And then ever since then, it's kind of been like meh, and then radio silence. Really, just murmurs of that wasn't as good as I was hoping. So I'm a little worried that now they're gonna like overhaul it and then start giving away some of these twists. But I just say stay the course. Word of mouth, just like with Barbarian, can carry this. And I think if there's anything that we've learned over the last 2 years, when it comes to horror, word of mouth can do wonders. Still holds up, still does great. So yeah, that's I think really where we're at. It's a very different conversation than I thought we were gonna have for The Strangers. I enjoyed it because it's like usually it's just like, yeah, it was good, that's it. But no, this was definitely mixed. So let us know down below what you guys think. And yeah, that's gonna wrap us up here. So check out some of our other videos. I did a little video on the True Detective season 4. Everybody is so kind and so positive about it. And yeah, you know, we've been doing some other fun stuff on the channel, so definitely keep up with it. And yeah, I guess that's gonna wrap us up here. So until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horror shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.